everybody, my name is Genevieve Noel and welcome to my channel.
The only heartache that I ever faced was a need of fortune and a dream of fame. I took those empty feelings and turned them into love. It cheats time, it's the eye in the storm of the universe. I got mine. Where do you think that you will find your
Who are new here, this channel surrounds my 2020 goals and me reaching them, but this video is a subset video where I talk about my pregnancy. Now this is my 14-week update, so I am 14 weeks and 6 days today. I'll be 15 weeks tomorrow. A couple of things I want to note right away. Once this video comes out, and I think there's 2 more after this, then I'll be going to a consistent schedule where I have pregnancy updates that will come out on Tuesday. I will film those on Mondays, so I'll only be like that week and 3 days instead of late at the end of that week. I'm doing this so that it's more real time, so that like when I have the baby, you're not like watching videos of 36 weeks and 37 weeks and whatever. You're not watching a backlog. You're watching things that are up to date. So that's what I'll be doing from now on, and then I'll be posting my regular videos on Fridays as normal. So this week I've had to do a lot more because I've been trying to figure out work, if I'm going to work, what I'm going to do, how that's all gonna roll out for me, what it's gonna look like. And I have been cleaning and packing and doing things and cooking a lot more to get ready to go home and visit family, which we will be leaving Saturday. So today is Thursday, so we're leaving in 2 days. And today is my laundry day, so I have been doing laundry like clockwork. But I have been feeling pretty good, except when I wake up in the morning, and once I do eventually get out of bed, I just am in pain. Like I have a lot of lower back pain. Well, my back just kind of like from the middle of my spine down really hurts, and then my feet really hurt, and I don't know, it's a lot more like physical pain, and I have a lot of twinges in my like lower region, like right below my uterus. And then I can feel my skin kind of like stretching every now and then, or like the muscles. You know how you can feel like the difference between muscle pain and like organ pain? And like you can feel like the muscles stretching and the skin stretching, which is really interesting. Yesterday morning when Gregory and I woke up, I was like poking at my stomach because I was like, there's like this bump here and you can feel it full on this side, but not on this side. And like when I roll over in bed, I can feel like, it almost feels like there's a water balloon in my stomach that like moves, which is essentially what it is. But sometimes I can feel that and it's really interesting, but like you can feel the physical like, oh, movement when you move. That being said, I've been able to eat a lot more frequently. I've started taking my prenatals with some of my supplements all at the same time, because otherwise I totally forget. Like I'm a super space case. And I take them with yogurt in the morning because one of the things that I take, like I put into the yogurt and it just tastes a lot better. But then I am more likely to eat breakfast, drink half of a liter of water, and I make sure I take all my vitamins right away. So it works out really well for me in that respect, and I have been doing that for about a week now, and it's gone pretty great. So pretty proud of myself. Other than that, nothing really different that I've noticed has happened. It's kind of been increasingly getting better in terms of like overall feeling. I have less headaches. I don't feel as sick or nauseous. Some days I do, but it's not as consistent. My energy has been up more every week, so that's been good. The other thing I want to talk about in this video is yesterday I took my sneak peek and we have to mail it. We couldn't get to the post office last night in time to get it shipped out, and like when they were open, and you're supposed to like bring it into the post office to make sure that it gets to where it needs to be. So Gregory's going to do that today after he's done with work, when he goes in to get an oil change, because he wants to get our car an oil change before we move, which or not move, before we visit family and whatnot, because it just makes sense when you're traveling a long distance, sorry. But I couldn't stab myself, so I had to have our female roommate do this, and look, I have bruises on both of my fingers, because I had to stab 2 fingers, because I was like 1 or 2 drops away from where I needed to be with the one finger, and it was clotting too much, and I was like, can you come stab my other finger for me? Like, I can't put myself in purposeful pain, like poking myself with like a needle. Like, I can't do that. I know it was like a clicky thing, and I'd get close, but then I'd be like, no, I can't do it. And they've both bruised over because I don't think I did like what I was supposed to do to stop the bleeding correctly, because it just didn't make sense, and it was kind of a mess, and it was like, they made it look like not a mess, but it was totally a mess for me. And I got blood like everywhere, like on like the packaging, because at first I couldn't figure out how to get my finger to drip right, and then the second finger I was like a pro, but so it was a struggle for me. But I overall it wasn't really like a difficult process. It's kind of nerve-wracking because like there's always the issue of it could possibly be contaminated, even if you have like boy pets around, and we have 1 boy cat and 2 males living in this house, so it's like I disinfected everything and like wiped everything down around the area, and we wouldn't let the boys like come anywhere near us. And I didn't even like hug my husband like for like 20 minutes before I did this and whatever, because I was like, if I get a boy result at all, I'm gonna be skeptical until we go in for the anatomy scan that says, yeah, you are actually having a boy. Even though I think it's going to be a boy, it's more just like, I don't believe it. I did something wrong. And I know that that's like really not a high chance. Like, out of the numbers of stories, there's such a low amount, like in comparison to all the people that have gotten boy results, that are like, oh, it was a false boy result, and I could have contaminated it or whatever. And people never tell you like what they did. Like, you'd have to examine their process to know exactly if they contaminated it or not. So it's really hard to like say if they're just not as accurate with the boy result, or if it really is people are just careless and contaminate things, or if it's just really easy to contaminate. Like, it's so hard. Tomorrow, like I said, I will be 15 weeks tomorrow, and we are going to the midwife to have an appointment. I don't really know what this appointment is going to entail. I assume it's just going to be like weighing me and taking all my stats and stuff, and then, what questions do you have? You're in your 2nd trimester now, blah, 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 blah. Let's schedule an ultrasound for your 20-week appointment. And then that kind of stuff. I am going to bring up to her different alternatives for the glucose test, I think is what it's called. And if you don't know what that is, essentially around 24, I think it is, to 28 weeks of pregnancy, you get tested to see your glucose levels, which essentially tells you whether or not you have gestational diabetes, which is something that anyone can develop, no matter like what size you are or how healthy you eat. Like, you can just develop that if your body's like, oh, I hate this. And there are things that you do to like manage it, and you have to make sure that you eat well after they like diagnose you with it. And to sometimes it can get to the point where you have to use insulin, but it's not very common as far as I know. I haven't ever heard of that being the case for anyone, but it has been documented, I guess. Anyway, I have a pregnancy book that I've been reading, and that was like the topic for week 14 was like about all the different tests that you'll be offered in your 2nd trimester. And that is one that like traditionally you chug this, I think it's an 8-ounce bottle of like, it's called something specifically, but it's like sugary and nasty and so bad for you, and like I don't want to do it because I won't get through it and I'll throw it up, and I can guarantee that because I'm not psychologically strong enough to drink that. But if you ask for alternatives in advance, usually, well, first of all, you can deny the test totally, which I don't think is smart personally, just because like if I have gestational diabetes, I really should know that so I can manage it, because it can cause problems, like, should know. But there are also alternatives that you can demand, like dye-free of that like drink. Because it's dyed like usually a bright color like orange or red, it's usually really, really unhealthy for you. And there is a dye-free version, but you have to request it. But I want to like avoid the drink altogether and go with like gummies or orange juice or something else like totally different, because the fakeness of it is not really gonna work for me. So I'm gonna talk to my midwife about it at this appointment, so hopefully she can have time to like, if she doesn't have the alternatives on hand, to like get them or see if it's possible for me to pick them up or something like that, so that we can use an alternative for that test so I don't have to be as worried. That all being said, let's do the bumpy shot. So I did eat lunch just a minute ago, and I'm eating a cookie right now, but I feel like I just look like there's this. Sorry, I have a wind chime, but it's just a little bloated. Alrighty everybody, that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in joining me on my pregnancy journey, don't forget to like and subscribe, and then hit the bell down below so you can get updates for when new videos come out and can keep up to date with the fam. Otherwise, see you next time. Love, Genevieve.